Hi, good morning, everybody, and welcome back. As always, thank you so much for tuning in and supporting our local animal shelter. Please make sure that when you watch this video, you also like it and share it with a potential animal lover to see if we can find one of our pets a home. You know, we have over 800 pets currently in our care at our shelter, and we could always use the help. Of course, we have a guest here today, and before I get into introducing her, I want to introduce this buddy that just laid down on the screen. Come here. This is Dwayne. Dwayne is a puppy, believe it or not. He's fully grown already. He's not going to grow any more in height. He may just whiten up a little bit, but he's around 8 to 10 months old. I believe he came in as a stray, but he's just a big old puppy who is doing his typical puppy behavior. So he may either just play around here on the set with us, or he just may take a nap if he gets tired. But Dwayne is one of the dogs that is currently living in an office because, one, we don't have space, and two, he was in a kennel, but we decided to give up his kennel for another dog because he was experiencing some kennel stress, which happens often with our shelter pets. So he wasn't displaying good behaviors, which wouldn't necessarily help him get adopted. So he's currently living in an office right now, and we're hoping that he gets to find his forever home soon. So if you're interested in Dwayne, please make sure to come by our shelter and ask about him. But let's get started. So today I have the pleasure of introducing one of the newest team members at Miami-Dade Animal Services. And she's only been here for a little bit, but she's already doing an amazing job in her program. And we're so happy to have her. We now have 3 people in her position, one of which has been on the show before, but she is the second one to come on, and we're just so happy that she's here. And here we have Hannah.
Hello.
So Hannah, tell us where you came from. Where did you work from before? I know you didn't live in Florida the whole time, but just tell us about you and how you got involved with animal welfare and coming here to work for animal services.
Absolutely. So animal welfare has always been something I'm very passionate about. I'm actually from the Midwest. I'm homegrown Hoosier. I'm from Indiana. And my primary career experience up until now has actually been in wildlife rehab.
Awesome.
So I have always been taking care of neonates. It's primarily just your backyard critters.
Okay.
So I've been bottle feeding squirrels, cottontails, opossums, raccoons, you name it.
That's so cute.
But that definitely,
I didn't know all that.
Yeah, I'm a critter gal, especially birds. I love birds. But that definitely set me up for success for coming and joining the program down here. Up until now, I've been with Miami Seaquarium on their manatee and sea turtle rescue and rehabilitation program. But I stepped over to the foster coordinator team to participate with some neonates and getting some good pups into homes. So something that I'm very passionate about, and it's very near and dear to my heart. When I first moved down here to Florida, I found South Florida Beagle Rescue. So I've actually been fostering with them for a little over a year now.
That's awesome. So you currently have a foster with you, right? From South Florida Beagle?
I do, yes. I'm actually taking in a sweet old man this weekend. He's 14 years old. His family has undergone a lot of changes. His owner passed away as a teenager, actually, which was very tragic for the family.
That's so sad.
And elderly grandparents have been caring for this old man. So there has been some trips and falls in the home, and it's no longer safe for the animal or the families to have this pet in the home. And so I'm welcoming him into my little hound brigade.
That's so awesome. First of all, awesome learning everything about you, because I mean, I know we've been working together for a few months already, but I didn't know all this about Hannah. So we just learned something new about Hannah together here on the show. So that makes it very special. But that's super interesting. And yeah, it kind of works out. You were taking care of, neonate wildlife, and now you're here trying to find neonate kittens and neonate puppies, foster homes.
You got it. I just switched from one babies to the next.
Exactly. And that's the reality of our shelter, especially right now with kitten season and everything going on. It's just becoming overwhelming for everybody. And I'm sure you guys are feeling it the most because you have to scramble to find foster homes for litters of kittens and litters of puppies and mom and puppies and hospice animal, everything. It's a lot. So I think you're doing wonderful. So I'm so happy to have you on.
Thank you.
But on the topic of foster, I don't know if you're aware, but May is National Foster Care Month. Okay.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty incredible opportunity. So thank you for having me today.
Of course, obviously you're the perfect fit for this because we have to discuss foster care, and you're the foster coordinator, so it works out. But since we're going to talk about National Foster Care Month, so tell us about like the fostering process with animal services. Like, how does it work? Like from the minute that, you know, an animal comes in that needs foster care, like what is it that you have to do? How do you get in contact with the public? So tell us about that, like your role basically.
Absolutely. So when an animal comes into our program, there are certain individuals within the clinic as well as a behavior team that determine whether or not an animal is best fit to be in the shelter. And if it's not going to be a success for the animal, then we try to find it other opportunities, such as going out on rescue through other organizations that can provide it with the resources that it needs, or we present it to an opportunity for foster homes. So as you mentioned, we have quite over 1,000 animals within Miami-Dade Animal Services, and we have close to 300 of them in foster homes alone. So this may be from a short 2-week interim period for, let's say, little kittens that really just need to be presented with round-the-clock bottle feeding opportunities or, you know, wet food opportunities pretty more frequently than your average caregiver can provide. So we need a lot of kitten neonate fostering opportunities, which is really what we're in the season for right now. But it's also very important to highlight the need for our older dog opportunities as well as our large dog fostering opportunities. So Dwayne here is an excellent example. He was not a good opportunity to be in the shelter.
He just discovered himself on camera.
He says he's a very handsome boy.
Look at him. He's looking at himself, checking himself out. That is actually the cutest thing ever, because this is the first dog that has recognized himself on camera. Yeah. But go on. Continue talking about him. And
so when Dwayne came into our program, we determined pretty quickly that not only was his behavior deteriorating in a kennel condition, but also his well-being in general.
Right.
He began to display some pretty self-destructive behaviors, which can be pretty traumatizing in a kennel environment.
Of course.
So when you're in a kennel for an extended period of time, you know, and you're used to running around, these dogs have a lot of extra energy, and they have no
outlet.
Yeah, no positive outlet for these energies. So Dwayne became kind of destructive in the kennel environment, and he was displaying some unwanted behaviors that were, you know, at risk of his own health. Right. So he, like we mentioned, has, you know, won some hearts of some very trusty team members, and he's living in an office environment right now. So we found that when you take Dwayne out of a kennel environment and you simply place him into a room, he's a much more calm, relaxed animal. I mean, he's just hanging out right now.
Perfect example.
Yep. He's got frog legs. He's
chilling
around. He's displaying his stomach. He wants belly rubs. He wants snacks.
He's comfortable like this.
Yeah, he's a very comfortable dog. And when you bring him out of the shelter environment as well, he really expands his personality, and he's a wonderful boy.
Of course.
So our foster program really just presents an opportunity for these pups in need to kind of take a break from the shelter and really get to know who they are as individuals and determine their relationships with families.
That's awesome to hear, especially when we have like a real life example like Dwayne. And you did mention seniors. I feel like seniors often need a lot of like care. Seniors, I have a soft spot. I've obviously mentioned this before on here. I always have a soft spot for senior dogs because they are the most overlooked. You know, when somebody comes to the shelter to look for a pet, they always are looking for a puppy or for a young dog or for a purebred dog. And although we have all that in our shelter, so there's never a need to buy a dog, you know, don't forget about the seniors, because they are probably like the dogs I recommend the most.
Absolutely. I love my sweet senior gal.
Exactly. Yeah. They are so easy. They transition perfectly well. People are always like, oh, I don't know if they're going to, you know, be comfortable, you know, coming into a new home at their age. Like, trust me, they're the ones that are going to adapt the quickest. And they're already potty trained. They're super chill. They're past that crazy puppy energy. Absolutely. If you don't have the time to do that, they literally just want a place to live out their days, a place just to chill, a nice, comfortable bed. Yeah. That's all they need.
Absolutely. My sweet senior came from Miami-Dade Animal Services last summer.
Aw.
She's blind in her left eye, heartworm positive.
Oh, all the good stuff.
All the good stuff.
All the good stuff.
Yeah, so she was my first foster fail. I discovered that she was my forever gal. So
that happens often. Yeah. Welcome to Miami-Dade Animal Services, where half the staff will foster fail, including me. But speaking again on foster, so if somebody that's watching is interested and hopefully will decide to foster, like, what is the process? How do they get to, you know, from watching this video to taking a pet home from us?
Point A to point B.
Exactly.
So we would encourage you to check us out online, call 311. We'll have you apply online. There's a short questionnaire that we'll have you fill out. That way we can determine what animal is going to be best fit for you. And that way we set up everybody for success. That way it's not just you that's feeling overwhelmed without resources and an animal is feeling like it's even more stressed in a home. You want to make sure that you are set up for success and you're given everything that you need to succeed. And this animal is given everything that it needs to thrive in an environment. So we'll give you some learning material as well.
Awesome.
Any additional learning resources that you need along the way. You'll, once you complete your questionnaire and we receive your application, we will send you a welcome email and we'll give you a kind of what we call a little neonate blast of our current up-to-date foster opportunities. So like you and I had mentioned that we are in neonate season. We have a lot of kittens that are needing foster homes. And not only that, but we have mamas with litters that need foster homes.
Exactly.
So all of my cat lovers, please, please, please sign up to foster. We can send you with a couple, 2, 3 kittens, perhaps a mama and her litter. Those are fun. Turnkey animals.
That's how my dog, well, not a cat. I know we're talking about cats, but my dog was a mama dog that needed fostering. So she went to foster care before I took her. And of course, she came back. All her puppies got adopted and she stayed behind. And I don't know, something just pulled at me at the mama dog. So also don't forget the mama dogs.
Yep.
And mama animals, mama cats and mama dogs. You know, the kittens and the puppies are always first to leave, but trust me, the parents are just as good.
Yep. Yeah. So, mamas are very important.
So I'm sorry, I know I interrupted you.
No,
what else?
Not at all. Yeah. So please, we need families that are willing to take in those opportunities. And then if you are a fellow dog lover, our puppy opportunities are not as frequent. I will give you that full acknowledgement right now.
Because they leave so fast. We don't need fosters for puppies.
We really find that our puppies and our small dogs under 50 pounds, they come in and they come out of the shelter really quickly. So we need foster homes for big boys like this. Yeah.
Right? You need a foster home.
And our lovely ladies too.
Right.
So if you are a dog lover and you would like to come and meet a pet, please email us. We can schedule an appointment. We can talk about what may be your best fit. Have you set up an opportunity to come and meet a few friendly fowls.
That's awesome. You see, so you guys getting a lot of information and I'll make sure to share the email as we wrap up. But another thing I wanted to touch on was PAW Ventures. So PAW Ventures is another program that is run by you guys with the help of the adoption team as well. But talk to us about PAW Ventures. What is a PAW Venture and what are the main objectives of the PAW Venture?
Yeah. PAW Ventures are really an incredible opportunity where anyone can come to Miami-Dade Animal Services and they can essentially take a pup out of the shelter for an afternoon. We have a list of pups that are super friendly with other animals, super friendly with adults, children in particular, that really deserve a break from the shelter. So on the weekends, you can schedule an appointment between 9 and 10 a.m. to pick up a pup. But throughout the week, you can come anytime between 10 and noon. And you can essentially just check a pup out and you can take them on an adventure for the day. Not only does it decrease the stress of the animal, but it sets them up for success of really just being a forever pet and learning what it means to develop those really important behaviors.
Yeah, so we actually learn a lot from the pets when they go out on PAW Ventures, because I think when the I was going to say adopters, but they're not adopters. I guess when the people that take them out come back, they kind of do like a little survey on their experience, and we get to learn a lot more about these pets. It helps us not only with future placement, but even just as simple as like what I do, which is writing their bios. Like sometimes I don't meet every single dog. We have over 800 animals currently at the shelter. So it's difficult for me to go one by one and meet each pet and spend time with them to be able to come up with a summary for them. So it helps, you know, when they go out on PAW Ventures, because I can just quickly look at the notes and be able to put a quick little summary together to help these pets get promoted and adopted. And oftentimes, even people, when they take them out just with them wearing their little vest, people will come up to them and ask them questions. And sometimes, I mean, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that there have been some successful adoptions based on PAW Ventures, that somebody has seen the dogs on PAW Ventures. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So most recently we had what we call like a home run success story. So one of our sweet ladies, Roxy, she was on a PAW Venture and somebody saw her and was like, wow, that's a really cool dog. I want to go check it out. They came back to the shelter, completely different day, asked about Roxy. Roxy was on another PAW Venture.
Oh, she's
Very
popular.
pup, yeah. And so this woman came down to our office in foster and was like, hey, this is a really incredible dog. I'd love to meet it, potentially foster it. We were like, yeah, we'll set you up for a meet and greet. This pup did not show up until the end of the day. This woman diligently waited until the very end of the day, brought Roxy home as a foster, and signed the adoption papers a few weeks later.
That's awesome.
From start to finish, Roxy did her work as a PAW Venture pup. We were very proud of her.
So awesome. We're so happy for Roxy and her new family. I'm sure they're in love with her. She was a really good dog. I remember Roxy specifically because she was with us for a little bit. But we're so happy that she got out. And see, that's a way that somebody that's interested, that can't necessarily take in another animal. But, you can have a day or even an afternoon. It doesn't have to be the entire day. Some people will take them out for the entire day, but even just an hour or two, just going down to a coffee shop or having lunch with the dog, that alone is enough.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love a good patio pup. I mean, give me a book, give me a coffee,
and just hang out,
lunch, and I'm a happy girl.
You can just hang out with the puppy, and they wear their little vest. People can come up to them and ask to pet. Obviously, we're putting dogs out there that like people and like to be pet. But either way, you should always ask, before you pet a random dog. You don't want any accidents. But either way, these dogs wear their little Adopt Me vest, so they have the opportunity to be seen out in the world and for potential adopters to ask questions about them. That way, the person that has them out on the PAW Venture can answer those questions and hopefully find a home for them, how they did for Roxy. Another question is, what is the sign-up process for a PAW Venture? I often get times where we get, emails or messages saying hey, how do I sign up for this? So tell us about that. How does somebody go about having a PAW Venture? I know you mentioned that they would have to make an appointment, but just tell us about the process and what is required.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can always call 311, go online, schedule an appointment. But you can also drop by the shelter throughout the week from 10 a.m. to noon, Monday through Friday. And you can essentially just walk in, take a pup on a PAW Venture. On the weekends, we do require appointments from 9 to 10 a.m. So you would have to schedule that through 311. But we can make sure that you're set up for success, and then you can come and select a pup. Like I mentioned, we do hand select the dogs that are going on PAW Ventures. Mm-hmm. So we know that they are very social animals. We know that they are generally good on lead. Some of them do tug a little bit, but again, that's something that we would like to see some individuals possibly work on with these animals. We always set you up for success with a bag of toys. You have water bottles, treats. So you always have everything that you need for the entire afternoon to be able to take this dog out.
That's awesome. See, so you get set up with everything, and the same way you would do if you were taking a pet out on foster. You get a little kit, a little to-go bag with you that pretty much brings everything that the pet will need. Obviously, for a PAW Venture, it's only what they need for a day.
Yep.
And for foster, it's what they would need depending on the amount of time that you would foster. But even if you ran out of supplies, I've obviously been in your office plenty of times when somebody's like, hey, I'm just here for some cat food for the kittens that I have. And you're more than happy to just provide that for them.
If you're a first-time pet owner and you really aren't sure if it's for you or not, we highly encourage you to stop on by. We can set you up with everything that you need to take a pet home temporarily. That way you can determine if it's the good fit for you and your family. Particularly, it's a great way to be able to get that short-term investment without feeling like you're overwhelmed and that it may not be a good fit for you long-term.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because that's exactly what I did with my own dog. Even though my own dog was already in foster care, and it's like, okay, well, if I take her back into foster care, it's harder to get them adopted, even though they're in foster care, because they're not physically at the building to be seen.
Yeah.
So you either have to take them out to the events and stuff like that. So it's a little bit more challenging. And you obviously have to post them and, encourage adoptions on social media. But it is a good way to figure out if you want to keep the dog. So that's exactly what I did with my dog. She came back from foster care. She wasn't getting adopted. So I was like, okay, I'm going to temporarily foster her to see how she does in my home. I have other pets. I have a small dog, an older dog, and I have cats. So I want to make sure that she's going to be okay with all that. And again, it's not a decision of just one day. I had her in foster care for 2 months before I fully committed and decided to keep her. I mean, after the first week, I was pretty much in love with her and I wanted her to stay.
Yeah.
But I just want to make sure that she was going to acclimate. You know, she was a very fearful dog in the shelter environment. You know, she would just sit in the corner. She would look away when people would come and get her. She was a black dog, which is also a statistic against them, because black dogs tend to have a harder time getting adopted. So I was like, I have to give this girl a chance. Like, I can't just be like, oh, one day and we're good to go. Like, no, I need to make sure it's going to work out. I need to make sure that she's going to be okay with my environment, with my schedule, with my routine. And thankfully, she's obviously been perfect. I obviously did adopt her, but that is a good way to test it out. And I recommend it often if somebody is unsure, versus actually fully committing to an adoption and then having to return them a few days later or a week later. It's really detrimental to the dog, actually, when that happens.
Yeah. And just to kind of touch base on that, I really love like a 3-3-3 rule.
Of course.
So when you bring animals into your home, you're going to see them become more comfortable after 3 days. So our minimum fostering period is actually for 2 weeks at a time.
That's awesome.
We want to be able to bring the animals into your home, allow them a good amount of time to decompress, really develop their own personality. That way they can learn what it's like to be out of the shelter. Around 3 weeks, you're going to see them really develop their personality a little bit more. They're going to feel nice and confident in your home, and they're not going to have that stressor of, am I going back to the shelter? What's coming next?
Right.
They're really going to understand their day to day. That way they can really ease into the new lifestyle.
Exactly.
Around 3 months, that's when you can almost guarantee that like you've met your pet.
They know you, you know them. They understand everything.
Yeah. It's a solid relationship. If you've got a breed that's going to display any funky or naughty behaviors, you're most likely going to see them by now. I'm a beagle lover, so you're going to see those funky beagle behaviors around 2 months. You'll be seeing some naughty pups. So when I saw my senior hound start to snuggle with my adult beagle around 2 months, I kind of knew like, okay, maybe this is something I should reconsider.
Right.
Again, she was blind. Like, that's also something that you want to keep in mind. Like,
the special needs pets.
Yeah, special needs pets in particular. Bringing them back into the shelter is much more stressful on them. They're not going to be successful.
Right.
So I was bringing this animal to adoption events, doing everything I could to find its family. I was taking it out. I was wearing Adopt Me vests. We were going to coffee dates. We were talking to everybody. I was like, she's incredible. She's heartworm positive. She's
just
blind.
selling her. Yeah.
I sold her to myself. I don't.
Sell her to yourself.
So
it works out that way,
for
though.
For me, around 2-3 months, I started to see a different side of my senior.
That's good.
So please, don't
pass up
about them.
Don't pass up the seniors.
Yeah, and give all these animals a shot. Don't feel like you're bringing them home for like a week or two and then you can just drop them back off. Yeah, they really deserve a little more time to develop their own personalities and get rid of some of the stressors that they have in the day-to-day life of being in the shelter.
Yeah, because it is a lot for them. But that's obviously some really good information that we just got. So hopefully if somebody's watching and they're interested, just even fostering, they are getting that little push to do it. So we're hoping to see some more people stop by our shelter and take more animals. And on that note, now that we're wrapping up, I do want to bring up that we are having our monthly Bentley adoption event that happens every third Saturday of the month. Here we have the information on screen. It'll be from 1 to 5. And I know lots of people have been concerned recently with, these animals being kept at our old facility and, it's getting hot and that's an open air facility. And we get it. We know it's hot. We're doing, the best that we can to keep our pups cool. We're walking them early in the morning. They are getting ice in their water. They're getting cooling mats. And, we have big industrial fans that are constantly blowing. And thankfully, they're under the shade. They're not out in the sun, specifically getting direct sunlight. So, just if anybody's watching that was concerned about that, just know that they are taken care of. But ideally, we wouldn't even have to use that facility if we had people that adopted and fostered these pets. So this is a perfect opportunity to come out and take home a pet. If you have been thinking about it, just come on by it, take a look. You never know. You may fall in love with somebody. You may meet Dwayne. You may meet another dog that you may have not necessarily been looking for, but it may work out. We have over 150 dogs just there alone at our Medley facility. So we could use homes for all of them. And again, even if you can't commit to a full-time adoption, you can always help by doing other things, just like fostering, which is our second biggest goal, to try and get dogs into foster homes to help them, get a break from the shelter and become better pets overall, because getting used to a home environment is ideal before they get placed in a home. They're already used to it, and that way we find out information about them, whether they like kids, whether they like other pets. Things like that is really helpful in placing them in homes. What happened there, buddy? And again, fostering, if it's too much, PAW Ventures, a great way to help. Like Hannah mentioned, PAW Ventures give a dogs a break for a day. They wear their Adopt Me vest. The person taking them out will show them off and talk to citizens out in the community about them, and they hopefully find a home. And of course, the final way that you can help with is either volunteering, donating, or even just sharing information on us, sharing this video, sharing our pages, talking to people about our programs and the things that we offer will always be beneficial and helpful. So again, we're just hoping the community will come out and join us and consider adopting or fostering a pet. And thank you so much, Hannah, for coming on by. You were lovely. You were wonderful, and you gave everybody lots of information.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having Dwayne, most importantly.
Dwayne was the star. He's a certified good boy. You did very good. Yeah. All righty. Well, thank you everybody so much for tuning in, and please be sure to share this video with